A few moments later.
Hey Kylo, big fan. Sorry for how your franchise turned out. I mean, have you seen Rise of Skywalker? It's terrible.
Anything else?
Well, at least you kissed a girl. She was pretty hot. Not gonna lie. My man.
What girl?
Hey nerds, I wanted to go back to a time when Star Wars felt safe. A time before the civil war within the Star Wars community, before the fan base was divided, and everyone seemed to be on the same side. I wanted to go back to The Force Awakens. Now it's time to get nerdy. When The Force Awakens first released, the main criticism was that it played things too safe, that it was too similar to A New Hope. And honestly, I agreed with that at the time. On the surface, both films follow a very similar structure. A droid on a desert planet carries important information, finds a Force-sensitive person, joins the Resistance, and ultimately helps destroy a planet-killing weapon right before it wipes out the Rebel base. But does that similarity actually matter? I used to think it did, but it does not make The Force Awakens a worse movie in my opinion. In fact, it uses this familiar structure to successfully reboot the Star Wars franchise and introduce an entirely new cast of characters. Looking back, this film was clearly designed as a new beginning for a new generation of Star Wars fans. It was meant to be a crowd pleaser, not something that took massive risks, but something that reminded everyone why Star Wars is special. And it worked. This movie was a massive success, and at that time, the future of the franchise looked incredibly bright. Of course, we all know what happened after that. The Force awakened, and then the Force went back to sleep with the rise of Skywalker. Being safe was absolutely the right move for Force Awakens. Think about it. Is there a single controversial story decision in The Force Awakens that split the Star Wars fanbase? I honestly cannot think of even one. This movie avoids giving any concrete answers. We don't see Luke Skywalker. We don't learn who Rey's parents are. We don't know what happened to the Sith after Return of the Jedi. We barely know anything about Snoke. The Force Awakens is purely a setup film. It gives us mysteries to think about without locking itself into any answers. Its job was to hook audiences, not to challenge them. And that is exactly what a first film in a trilogy should do. The sequel is the one that takes risks and pushes the franchise in new directions, whether people agree with those choices or not. So looking at The Force Awakens today, does it still hold up? Does it scratch that classic Star Wars itch from a simpler time? If you're enjoying this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more nerdy content. After rewatching the film, if I had to describe it with one word, it would be exciting. It's hard to fully explain, but it's a feeling. Force Awakens has an energy to it where every scene feels important and it flows seamlessly into the next scene. The pacing is excellent. There is not a single wasted moment in this film. It hits every note you want it to hit. And in many ways, I think it perfects the formula laid out by A New Hope. The story itself may not be groundbreaking, but the execution is so strong that it hardly matters. How J.J. Abrams managed to reboot both Star Trek in 2009 and Star Wars in 2015 so effectively is beyond me. One of Force Awakens' biggest strengths is how it balances legacy characters like Han Solo and Princess Leia, while introducing us new characters such as Rey, Finn, and Kylo Ren with clear motivations. Yes, there are callbacks to the original trilogy, of course, but they never feel distracting. The Millennium Falcon returning does not feel like cheap nostalgia bait. I love how it is recontextualized as junk, as something outdated in this universe, which makes it feel lived in. That shift in perspective through the eyes of new characters is what makes this film feel fresh. It gives The Force Awakens its own identity rather than making it feel like a copy. If this were your first exposure to Star Wars, you would get everything you need. Lightsaber duels, hyperspace jumps, the Resistance, the First Order, droids, stormtroopers, and a new Sith-like villain. It's the perfect gateway into the franchise. And for me personally, Star Wars films were not what originally made me a fan. It was animated projects like the Clone Wars. I was only 5 years old when Revenge of the Sith came out, so it's wild to think that The Force Awakens was my first Star Wars movie in theaters. I'm sure many of you share the same experience as me. Rewatching The Force Awakens also made me realize how strong the new characters actually are. I don't remember being particularly connected to any of them before, but that has changed completely after rewatching it. Let's start with Rey. She is a fantastic character. Yes, I said it. What surprised me is how clearly the film differentiates her from Luke Skywalker. Luke had a loving family waiting for him. Rey was abandoned. She is completely alone on Jakku, counting the days until her parents return.
Whomever you're waiting for on Jakku, they're never coming back.
Maz's speech makes it clear that her parents are never coming back, that Rey's life is ahead of her, not behind her, and that moment is devastating. You immediately empathize with Rey. There's even a scene where she looks at an old woman cleaning scavenged parts, and Rey realizes that this could be her future if she stays on Jakku, a life spent waiting for someone who will never come back, someone that will never save her. That loneliness drives all of Rey's decisions. She believes she has to stay on Jakku because leaving means accepting the truth that her parents are never coming back. Her strength comes from survival, but it also comes with deep emotional scars from her abandonment. Finn is another character who deserves way more appreciation than we give him. This idea of a stormtrooper breaking free from his conditioning to join the resistance is absolutely brilliant. The bloody handprint on his helmet and witnessing his friend's death are the moments that snap him out of it. This film introduces the powerful idea that stormtroopers are not just faceless soldiers, that they can awaken and choose to do the right thing. Finn has this pure goodness to him, similar to Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings. He stands up even when he's terrified, like when he fights Kylo Ren with a lightsaber, despite not being a Force sensitive. Finn spends the entire movie figuring out who he is. He does not even have a name until Poe gives him one, along with his jacket, which symbolically becomes the start of his identity. Finn's story is tragic. He was taken from his family as a child and turned into a weapon for an evil order that does not care about him. And while I originally thought Finn and Rey were being set up as a romantic pairing in this film, Force Awakens makes it clear that their bond is friendship. When Rey says she will see him again, she says my friend, and that distinction matters going forward in the franchise. Kylo Ren is easily one of the most complex characters in Force Awakens. He serves as a pseudo Darth Vader, but what makes him interesting is how emotionally hollow he is. He hides behind his mask, terrified of being seen as weak, terrified of failing.
Kylo Ren was shredded.
What? Your friend's a liar, man. Kylo Ren is a punk bitch. That guy looks like he weighs 30 pounds soaking wet underneath that little black dress. Got him!
Kylo chose the dark side, but he is clearly not at peace with that choice in this film. When he kills Han, he does not feel satisfying for him. It feels pathetic. It feels like a desperate attempt to prove something to Snoke, to silence the pull of the light inside him. And during his fight with Rey, he is pretending to be a monster he thinks he should be. And let's talk about why Kylo lost that fight.
Bested by a girl who had never held a lightsaber? You failed!
Kylo loses not because Rey is stronger in the Force, but because he is emotionally shattered from killing Han and physically injured from Chewbacca's shot. Rey's strikes are so sloppy, and you can tell that she's inexperienced, but she taps into the Force while Kylo is completely unfocused. Overall, The Force Awakens is everything you would want from a Star Wars film. Yes, it plays things safe, sometimes too much, but it introduces compelling new characters and successfully reintroduces the galaxy in a way that invites people back in. Its legacy is proving that Star Wars is timeless, that this universe will endure, regardless of the highs and the lows. Sometimes being safe is okay, as long as it sets the stage for something greater. But I'll save my thoughts for The Last Jedi in another video. So what did you think of Force Awakens? Did it age well for you? Is being safe a problem for this film? Let me know in the comments. And remember, I'm just another nerd. Stay nerdy out there.